You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Master of Business Administration, Zach. That's the most accolades that I can put behind my name is an MBA.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Adam, are you any level of doctor?
No. Masters plus whatever, multiple certifications, but can't say I've got that.
I got multiple certifications.
That's what you do in education. But no, I don't have, a doctorate like, our main character for today's episode.
We're talking about Dr. Nemesis.
We are talking about Dr. Nemesis, a interesting and complex character that I think we both like.
I generally enjoy Dr. Nemesis.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And oddly, it's weird because rereading this, I enjoy Dr. Nemesis in spite of Dr. Nemesis in a lot of cases. If someone said that they had some problems with how Dr. Nemesis has been portrayed over time, I would say, okay.
Yeah, completely understandable. And I think we should get into all of that today.
We're not going to get into the... We'll get into the weird... Actually, no, I do think we are going to get into the weirdest stuff about Dr. Nemesis because, dang it, we feel like it. And that's the show, right? The show is us getting into the weird stuff and then challenging our audience on what counts as X-Men comics.
We sure have a good one today.
I've never gotten feedback, actually. Now that I say that out loud, I've never gotten feedback from anyone that, like, they're just frustrated with how loosely we're defining X-Men comics, so it may be a feature at this point.
I think it's a feature, not a bug. And, if there was a bug, Dr. Nemesis could probably design some sort of ray gun to make it disappear.
With science!
With science. Why are we talking about Dr. Nemesis today, Zach?
That's a great question. Because we said we were going to do it a while ago, and we forgot. No, in all actuality, it's because it was one of the things that our patrons over on Patreon wanted us to talk about.
That's what I thought.
When we did our, what was it called?
Pick'ems?
I forget.
You Pick'ems?
Yeah, because it was fall time, so I did an Apple-based theme.
Oh,
I'm so cute sometimes. Anyway, if you want to get in on all the fun that our Patreon patrons have, all the fun of making up this podcast and making it work, you can go over to patreon.com/battletheatom, reach deep down into your hearts and pocketbooks, put a couple of coins into our coffers directly from your coffers. It's a coffer-to-coffer exchange here. But before you do that, you are going to have to submit the information over to insurance. They'll review the claim, and then they will bill it back to us. We'll bill it back to them. We'll do some discounting. It'll eventually come back to you. And we're going to code it and show you all of the things that we did so you definitely understand it, and it's definitely comprehensible to some of us. That definitely work in the industry, and you can always fight it. And if there's a conflict, talk to your insurance, and they'll sort it out for you. We are a medicinal product in 3 states. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well,
it's Dr. Nemesis.
We do have 3 stories today. They may have side effects. I don't know, but Zach, do we want to go like backwards in time, forwards in time? I think it might be fun to start with the Golden Age story, but I don't know.
You know what? If that's what you're saying, Adam, we're going to start with Lightning Comics number 6.
Lightning Comics Volume 1, number 6. That's right, folks. This is from April of 1941. This is a Golden Age, golden oldie.
Now, some of you are thinking, yes, I know about Marvel Comics, published in 1941. It has a bunch of characters in it that we would later reuse, like Namor and the Human Torch. And Captain America and Angel and Vision and Black Widow. Just all of these famous characters we all know.
Yeah.
And then in what I think is a beautiful thing, all of our listeners are wrong because this is not a Marvel comic, nor a Timely comic, nor a what was that? What's the other one? What's the middle one between?
Atlas?
No, it's the wait, yeah, Atlas, Atlas.
Yeah, yeah.
This is from Ace,
Mm-hmm.
an Ace magazine, the Ace magazine company. Hey, Adam, what do
Hi.
you know about the Ace magazine company?
I don't know anything. I mean, there are characters here called Flash Lightning and the Raven, Haphazard, but I honestly don't know anything about this publisher.
Wiz Wilson is in here as well.
Some great alliteration, you know?
So people don't understand just how disposable comic books were and how ever present that they were.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, oh boy, does this get ever present because, you know, like they try and, how do you want to say it? They try and just do really weird Golden Age stories, and that's what this is. I don't have a big point about Golden Age comics. I don't read a lot of them. Most of them are bad.
I will say, having read some Golden Age stories, this one in particular, which is the first appearance of Dr. Nemesis,
Dr. James Bradley.
Yep, Dr. James Bradley. This one still strikes me as quite odd. It's not your normal superhero story, that's for sure.
So the thing about Dr. James Bradley is that Dr. James Bradley, aka Dr. Nemesis RX, is a young intern at Mercy Hospital and has discovered a serum. By the way, this is all done in text. There is no backstory to how this happens at all, which is Golden Age beauty. Discovered a serum which, when injected into a person, puts them into a coma. I'm going to pause there. Yeah, because there's a comma, and I'm allowed to pause at commas, during which period the patient will answer the positive truth to any question asked. When the subject comes out of the temporary coma, he has no memory of the interlude.
Wow. So Dr. Nemesis... Yeah.
So, Adam, would you like to tell the audience what you texted me earlier this week when we were reading these?
Well,
in your description of James Bradley, my friend Dr. Nemesis?
Yes, so James Bradley really does start quite heroically here. It's a stormy night. He helps some people off of a boat after, a crashed train car, which has become submerged in a river. And one of the people that he saves is a death row inmate who just happens to be on this train for some reason. And basically, Dr. Nemesis like roofies people for justice. I don't know how else to put it. Like, that's exactly what he's doing.
You can put it the exact way you said to me, quote, from Adam Reck, and you can quote him on this. Excited to talk Dr. Nemesis, the Roofie King.
That's exactly what happens in this story. He keeps coming upon people and then without their consent injecting them with this truth serum in which they don't remember saying what they said. And he just continues to investigate the innocence of this death row person until it does turn out that he was framed. But to do it, he has to like, how many people does he inject in this story?
How many people does Dr. Nemesis ethically roofie in this comic?
At least 3.
I don't know if it's ethical roofing, if it's not consensual. It is roofing in probably the best way that you can roofie someone to do Golden Age superheroics.
It's really weird. It's very, very strange. I mean, James Bradley starts off as this like, debonair guy saving, people out of this train. And like within pages, he's disguised himself with the white mask and
he does have the surgical fedora mask from the start. And that's great.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
they have him in like a blue trench coat, like he's a Dick Tracy. Mm-hmm. But like that's an easy fix. I don't even know if I don't know or not if Ace ever gets around to changing him into his good clothes. But
yeah, I do think in some of his later appearances he is wearing just white scrubs.
Well, he's wearing scrubs on the cover of this, or not the cover, the first page of this, but it doesn't have the jacket. Like he's not doing a full white jacket, which I think is the exciting thing.
Yeah, I think when
when
he reappears in Super Mystery, he's got a couple of short stories there. Then I believe he is wearing the white jacket. But this is a weird story where you have Dr. Nemesis basically like wrestling a criminal in the middle of his, a bar, with a cop at his side, give me your hand, Burke. And
Give me your hand, Burke.
then, yow, hey, what? The cop is like, stop that. He's gone mad. He's like, Dr. Nemesis is punching people. And he's like, I'm not mad. He's a murderer and I'll prove it to you, And it's like, okay, I guess we'll just believe whatever this person says because we trust that you injected them with something that we should. I don't know. Like, why would you trust anything that anyone's saying while they're injected with this mystery thing?
Because of science, Adam. Shut up and enjoy Dr. Nemesis's great science.
Oh, man.
Dr. Nemesis also leaves a business card,
yes,
with people that he wants to know that he helped.
Yep. What does it say, Zach?
Well, one second, because it says, keep your courage up, Dr. Nemesis. I know you're innocent, and I'm going to prove it. Keep on as you have.
So funny.
He gives that to the death row inmate. He's like, keep your courage up, buddy. I got you. I'm Dr. Nemesis. And if I'm a Dr. Nemesis, all I can think is, why would I be doing this? I think perchance Dr. Nemesis may be getting high on his own supply on occasion and living on his most endurable truth.
It does beg the question, why is he named Dr. Nemesis?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. He is not anyone's nemesis in this story. He doesn't have a nemesis. He is just Dr. Nemesis, and that's weird.
Yes. Harry Anderson is apparently the artist on this, which, I mean, it's not the guy from Night Court. So
different Harry Anderson, yes.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know that Golden Age people were not well recognized, though there was a active artist named Harry Anderson who is of some level of fame, who was active in short stories in magazines in the early 30s and 40s. So it is potentially Joseph Harry Anderson, who went by Harry Anderson, who painted illustrations for the Seventh-day Adventist and Church of Latter-day Saints.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Now, did he sneak Dr. Nemesis into any of these? I don't know. Did famous Mormon artist Harry Anderson create Dr. Nemesis?
To be clear, we do not know if these are the same people.
We do not, but it is interesting, I feel, that there is a prominent artist who was active at this time also named Harry Anderson.
Yeah. Well, Anderson's art here is, it's typical of the age. We do get some fun action shots as, Dr. Nemesis applies jujitsu to some criminals midway through this short story. But, it basically looks very, very similar to a lot of the other stories that are in this same book. So,
it does. It's got a house style, but it is clear and does look like relatively nice. Like,
yeah,
it's not bad art.
No,
it's very of the time, but like even flipping through other art in this issue, which we definitely have a legal and physical copy of. And I'm just kidding. It's public domain, which becomes incredibly important later. Flipping through that, this is some of the better art in the book.
I would agree. Yeah, it's the first panel is this giant image of Dr. Nemesis chasing down people down a street with his syringe, and the giant shadow of his name and his hand and the needle, and it's I don't know, it doesn't really match the story, but whatever. It's fine.
It doesn't. It is that splash is kind of the best part.
Yeah.
So that's Dr. Nemesis, and I promise you folks, this is actually the X-Men scientist man. He's just a regular doctor.
Guy. Yeah, same
Adam,
guy.
How do we rank this?
I think we rank it just like everything else on our big old list. What is this list, Zach?
The thing about this list, and I love it, is that we are ranking every X-Men story from best to worst on the road to 1,000. We've started with 3 stories, and we're now at 969 from best to worst. You know the best one. It's House of X Powers of 10. That's not shocking. 300th is Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut. From Amazing Spider-Man. 600th is X-Men Deadly Genesis. Number 900 is Uncanny X-Men 500 to 503, which is one issue before Dr. Nemesis shows up again, folks. That's SFX. And 969 is 2099 World of Tomorrow. Okay, I do think this is better than Deadly Genesis.
Which is that?
600.
Wow, you're going to put it that high. All right. Well, if it's
I don't like Deadly Genesis, a bad comic.
It's... Yeah, Deadly Genesis at 600. Okay.
This is not exactly as competent as this comic could or should be.
It is not better than at 592, Wolverine Global Jeopardy, a World Wildlife Fund comic book, which featured
pistols
several
for
dinosaurs.
pandas. They need all the help they can get. I understand.
Yes.
Then let's put it above Aurora Before the Storm, a comic I don't like.
Great. So this is our new 593 Ace Comics, Lightning Comics, number 6, the introduction of Dr. Nemesis. Now,
So,
this is where it gets complicated, Zach.
and we're not ranking the story where it gets complicated. In fact, we are going to jump all the way to things being normal, but we would be doing you a disservice if we did not explain how we got from here to there.
Yeah, so for readers who are familiar with Dr. Nemesis, you know that he popped up in Uncanny X-Men 504 with Matt Fraction, and is Brubaker still on the book at that point?
Bruise off by 504, I feel like.
So it's Fraction.
It's action Matt Fraction, and he's creating X Club.
However, I will say in getting ready for this episode that I became very confused, because if you look at a timeline of events for Dr. Nemesis, you will notice that in between his Lightning Comics appearances, which are from the 40s, and his Super Mystery appearances, which are also from the 40s, he moonlights for a short period of time as a Nazi.
Okay, hold on. We got to be so clear about this, folks. Because Adam, what you said is confusing. What you said is during
confusing.
these two 40s comics runs, that there was a moment in between. And I want to be clear. The comic that posits that Dr. Nemesis worked for the Axis powers.
This is where it gets really confusing. Go ahead.
That comic came out in 1993. And just to be clear, the comic itself does not posit that he then goes back to become a regular superhero again. The comic doesn't posit that one bit.
But because of the timing of when the story Zach is talking about. This is
assumptions. We're making assumptions here. May I, Adam?
Yep. Talk about Invaders 2.
I want to talk about Invaders Volume 2. Thank you. And then we can get back to your thing, because I feel like the context that I'm going to provide is so critical here.
Yes, please go ahead.
So this is a Roy Thomas comic. So already.
Oh, boy.
Roy the boy. You done stepped in it. But Roy loves Golden Age comics. Roy loves that old stuff. Don't come to him if you don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what Roy Thomas is there for. Roy Thomas comes back to do Invaders again and says, you know what? I made a lot of the Golden Age. I don't know why my Roy Thomas sounds like this, but we're going to go with it. You know what? I made a lot of my Golden Age characters into Nazi fighters. What if, perchance, I made some of them into Nazis? And then, rest his soul, Mark Grunwald says, Roy, you're not doing that. You're not turning our characters into Nazis. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, Roy Thomas says, well, that's great. I'm going to get some public domain characters that I don't care about and no one has ever heard about, and I'm going to make them Nazis. And Mark Grunwald's like, literally no one cares about this, so that's fine. So that's what he does. He creates a group called the Battle Axis in Invaders Volume 2, which, if you haven't read it, is bad.
Yeah.
It's his way of getting the Golden Age vision involved in things. I read all of these comics over the recent while. They're terrible.
It's very much a comic from 1993 that is trying to be a comic from 1943, and it is bad.
The interesting thing is the leader of the group, the Battle Axis, is a man by the name of Dr. Death, who previously was named Dr. Nemesis. And we know that he was previously named Dr. Nemesis because he says so. Also, Marvel already has a guy named Dr. Nemesis. He's like an ant jobber, like an Ant-Man jobber. Like, he's nothing.
Okay.
So they change him to Dr. Death, and he leads Spider Queen and Sky Shark and the Human Meteor and Strong Man to do Nazi stuff,
Mhm.
like superhero Nazi stuff. You know, you've seen pulps. Anyway, they get defeated. No one ever thinks about them again. And I need to be so clear about this. The character is not mentioned in Marvel Comics, nor any supplemental publishing material such as official handbooks or any such accoutrement. Until Fraction brings him back in Uncanny 504. And I have so many questions for Matt Fraction on... I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I need to know how he got from there to there. Because as Adam was saying previously, people have posited that in the continuity of Dr. James Bradley,
Mhm.
between these two Golden Age magazines, he was a Nazi for a hot second and said, not for me. I'm going to go back and stop being a Nazi and just do superhero stuff.
Right. So if you just blindly go to his wiki, to the Marvel fandom wiki and read the timeline, you will see, Dr. Nemesis Nazi, Dr. Nemesis Nazi Hunter. And what's funny about that is that you might assume that there are Golden Age stories where that happens. There aren't any. And it really is just what Matt Fraction puts in 504 that
Matt
leads us to
Fraction
that
posits
conclusion.
that he's a crazy Nazi hunter, which is great. And
Yes.
he's doing insane science hunting of Argentinian Nazis. Love it. It's great. The poor editors and writers of the official handbook to the Marvel Universe A to Z update number 4 from 2010, who had to try and piece all this together in a way that makes sense. And it doesn't. And did Fraction just read that this guy was a scientist in Invaders and read literally nothing else and said oh, so we fought Nazis. Got it.
I'm fine with that because the version of the character who comes back is a lot of fun. And that is where we are picking up with, a little bit after his reappearance in 504, we start to get the X Club stuff. So
I was just saying, we've already talked about X Club, the miniseries, which comes after this. But before X Club, the miniseries, came Simon Spurrier doing a couple of one-shots. The first of which was X-Men Curse of the Mutants, Smoke and Blood.
Are we doing that one first, or are we doing Blind
Science? That's the first one.
Science?
That's the Smoke and Blood's the first one. So we'll do the first one first, I think.
Smoke and Blood is November, and Blind Science is July. Then
we'll do Blind Science. No, nothing about Curse of the Mutants matters. I just forgot when Curse of the Mutants takes place.
Oh, it's fine. Which one do you want to do? I don't care.
Blind Science. I don't care. One of them takes place during Curse of the Mutants. One of them takes place during Second Coming.
Let's do Blind Science because it's not as good as the other one. Let's finish on a good one.
Interesting. Okay, this is Cy Spurrier with Paul Davidson and Francis Portela on writing and art. This is a tie-in to Second Comings. Specifically, it's Second Comings : Revelations : Blind Science. It's about X Club, who at this point are Dr. Kavita Rao, Box, and Dr. Nemesis. Beast is out doing other things, and he's only a supplementary member of X Club. Actually, by this point, he had left the team, now that I say that out loud. And also by this point, that guy from Godzilla Comics has died.
Now, this is apparently Bastion's first appearance? That can't be right.
No, that's insane.
No, that can't be right.
Adam, as we have already listed today, the Marvel Wikia is a great secondary source that forces you to always check primary sources. It is a great source of primary sources.
No, Bastion definitely appeared before that. No, when you look up Bastion, it says that his first appearance is Blind Science number 1. How is that?
Then they're wrong. No,
how is that right?
Or Adam, here's
what it is.
You're looking at the wrong Bastion.
I'm looking at the wrong Bastion. Yeah,
you're looking at Bastion of Earth.
Whatever.
10710, which isn't a real Earth. I just want to be clear.
Yeah,
because of what we learned in this story.
X-Men 52. Just
Bastion
1996. Okay.
Yeah, we know where Bastion's from.
Don't listen.
Thank you. Don't be confusing more. It's not a first. I love you, Marvel Wikia editors. Sometimes the Marvel Wikia makes choices. Anyway, it's Second Coming, and oh no, X Club is in a bad situation. Specifically, Kavita Rao's in a bad situation. You remember Kavita from Astonishing X-Men? She
Yes.
cured mutants.
The one who created and then destroyed the mutant cure. And for those keeping score for Second Coming, this is before the big old dome falls around the Golden Gate Bridge.
This is pre-dome. This is 0 PD. That's pre-dome.
And Bastion has a very simple goal in this issue, and that is that he would like to trick X Club into recreating the mutant cure.
We don't know it's a trick for a while.
We don't, but there are major clues. But after a machine malfunctions in their laboratory, the X Club are seemingly thrown far into the future.
They are, and then Beast is cured in the future, and Kavita feels some guilt, which she should, about the mutant cure and her role in all of the schemes of Breakworld.
Yeah, pretty much. But she's also much smarter than this future Vision would like to be. And she figures it out before the end of the issue that this ain't real. This is a trick. And even though
Graydon Creed, who I don't remember being in Second Coming beyond this.
Yeah, Graydon Creed is here. He's the one that's executing this mastermind plot.
Bad plan, Graydon.
Yeah.
Or bad seed, if that's what you call yourselves these days. Love Victor Lavelle. Don't know what he was on with that.
What I did like is that Kavita has this, she convinces the bad guys that she is going to redo the mutant cure by using a code on the inside of a bracelet that she's wearing. So even though she destroyed the cure, she gave herself enough clues that if she needed to recreate it, she could. But by the time we get to this end of this issue, we realize that Kavita has been fooling them too, and that's all just baloney.
She's been lying to them the whole time, and she's not creating a cure. She's creating something that will blow up.
Yes, something that will rescue them.
She made a bomb. She made a bomb, and through the whole issue, Dr. Nemesis is talking down to Kavita Rao because she is I want to be clear. Dr. Nemesis talks down to literally everyone.
Yes.
Also in Cy Spurrier's depiction of the character, Dr. Nemesis isn't not a misogynist.
He absolutely is, and we will see this in our third story today as well. I mean, even if you go back, some of his interactions with the ladies in the Golden Age stories are not great either.
They aren't, but they are
pale.
By 1941 standards, he is not atypical. Like for a comic written in 1941, it's just Superman was doing worse. You know?
In the 40s, Dr. Nemesis is like, hey, I left the room for a minute. You got engaged? Like
I'm patriarchal. Yeah, it's whatever. Some of that comes in, but it not even like that. It's in weird ways where like Dr. Nemesis is just a jerk to everyone, which allows Spurrier to write funny insults and do big science words. But the story is also he's the antagonist to Kavita Rao, who has a lot of doubt about her role in the mutant cure. Also the fact that she's not a mutant and Dr. Nemesis is looking down on her for that.
Yeah.
This And there's a lot less of that. Yeah,
this is much more of a very straightforward time jump adventure in which the drama of what's going on with Rao is really the spotlight.
I think it's interesting if flawed in execution. I think Paul Davidson's art is pretty solid throughout the whole thing. But the few pages that Francis Portela have to draw don't hold up to that level.
No, unfortunately.
Like to a very strong degree, actually. Like you
can tell
he's not a dissimilar artist to Paul Davidson, but Paul Davidson draws it way better. Anyway, long story short, weird comic, weird tie into Second Coming. Like people don't talk about the Second Coming Revelations comics all that much, and there's a reason for that.
I mean, it does tie in with the longer storyline, but you also would not need to read this for understanding Second Coming.
Most people who have read Second Coming do not know this comic exists, and that says something.
Well, and I don't know that it adds much either, because it really is a complete tangent. It's a complete, solitary adventure with these characters that it doesn't tie in that much.
Does it add more or less than the X Factor tie-in?
Oh, where is that one?
Oh, that's not on the list. I was just asking.
Just in general? What happens in the X Factor one? I don't remember.
I don't know. Something. It's late in Peter David's X Factor run. I last read that 4 years ago at the start of COVID, because at the time I didn't know how long we were going to be in it. And I said, let's just get a long one in here. And I think we were having internal debates with some of our friends if that run was ever actually good or why it was so acclaimed. And I got to a point as it has issues. Also has some strengths and is pretty readable despite that. And at minimum is very page turny. Like it had the same effect as The Walking Dead has on me.
Well, X Factor has a full arc here, right? It's 204 to 206.
Yeah, that's not on our list though.
No, it's not. We never ranked that one. So
yeah, let's compare it to something else. Have we done Hellbound?
Believe we have done Hellbound. Yes.
Yeah, that's at 714. This is worse than Hellbound.
Yeah,
that's
I would
Second
agree.
Coming Revelations Hellbound.
I would agree. I think this is probably lower than that. I'm just working my way down.
Is it better or worse than... No, it's better than Spider-Man Team Up #1, though.
Yeah, I would agree. It's probably better than Exiles 100 at 727.
Probably better than the Hazard arc of X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
This is telling a coherent story.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what? Maybe let's put it... I would put it above Exiled, the New Mutants Journey into Mystery crossover.
Okay, that works for me. Because what is that Exiles arc that's right above that?
Above that, Exiles, Enemy of the Stars. That has to be... Oh, that's the first Chris Claremont run.
Oh, okay.
First arc of the Chris Claremont.
So this is going to be our new...
Those two.
Our new 716 Blind Science.
Because she blinded me with science. But what we do get to talk about, though, is Curse of the Mutants. We already said that. It's X-Men Curse of the Mutants. It's another Spurrier X Club one-shot. But this time, we're joined by someone very special to me and you and to all of us. It's Gabriel Hernandez BotA.
Yes. This is called Curse of the Mutants Smoke and Blood. It is a one-shot. It features a kind of uncharacteristic for the interior of the book, cover by Clayton Crane, which is still pretty cool. If you like Clayton Crane.
He's doing a spooky vampire cover.
Yes, but the star of the show here, I mean, this is Spurrier writing, and I do think he's really got the X Club stuff down by this point a couple months later. But it's Walta,
what
man.
X Club should be. Oh yeah, the star is Walta. And this is honestly some of the rougher stuff I've seen from Walta. And like it's early in his career at Marvel, not even mentioning the stuff that he's done since then.
But keep in mind, he's penciling, he's inking, and he's coloring this book. So all of the art is his, and he has really nailed the horror movie tone and / humor. The deadpan expressions in this are really priceless of what this story requires.
Just to be clear, this is actually in 100% Gabriel Hernandez BotA's first full comic from Marvel.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Coming out of the gate. Just on fire,
this is his
man.
first actual comic.
Jeez.
Which is interesting. But he soon gets on Astonishing not that long after that. And then goes to Magneto, then does Vision, and then he has money to do other things.
Good. Because
he should. It's great.
Yeah, the work here is great. So, being Curse of the Mutants, the X-Men have moved a large vampire creature type thing into the labs of X Club. And basically Nemesis is verbally sparring with White Queen about what they're going to do about curing vampirism.
And it's weird because it's very 2010 in the rampant misogyny that Dr. Nemesis throws her way, and Emma just kind of takes it.
I wouldn't say that she just takes it. They are both. He is definitely being misogynist. She is also being incredibly condescending in the ways that Emma Frost always is.
Yes. See, that's the thing. Emma Frost is always condescending. So
Yes.
I'm used to it from her. I don't like it that Dr. Nemesis is not beating the bad character allegations in all of the comics that we're discussing.
No. Dr. Nemesis is really having, like his fun, sciencey catchphrases and things that he wants to say. But at the same
He does
time,
say, quote, "I have slaughtered Nazi dinosaurs, madam."
well, that's not all he did. Didn't he cure Aryan? What does he say?
He reverse engineered Aryan influenza, sabotaged the SS clone labs of Peru, and outplayed the cosmic commandant at quantum chess, all without effort.
Yeah.
With this, it's challenging.
It's challenging because what they're encountering and what we realize by the end of this story is that there may be more than just science involved in this. Rao has developed what she thinks is a vampire cure, and on paper, it should work. Unfortunately, over the course of this issue, we learn that this monster that they have in the base, which I love the way Walter draws this thing. He's kind of like this green
It's the best
gargoyle.
page.
Oh my God, he's so cool. And they have a couple of people that have been, are the lab rat people in this people that were exposed to the cloud that Jubilee was exposed to?
Yeah, when the suicide bomber vampire,
Ugh.
when the suicide bomber vampire exploded and got everyone to have his blood on them and turn them into vampires, which is not how vampires work.
No, it's not.
When that happened, these people got possessed and got vampired.
But what's great about this, if you like horror movies, I highly, highly recommend you track this issue down and read it, because the basic premise of it is that Rao, Box, and the rest of these people that are just there to be experimented on are trapped inside the lab, this very dark lab, with this monster that is tracking them. And as they are, the best gag in this is that the lab rat people are constantly switching from their normal voices and personalities to say these completely crazy things to summon the monster. So you got a guy who's like, shh, be quiet. Don't. And then he screams out, "Come to us, master, devour our blood." And it's so funny. It's a great gag.
It's good. I do find Dr. Nemesis's insistence that magic isn't real dumb. In the man has lived long enough to know.
He's seen things.
They don't need to develop a cure for vampires. They already have one. It's called the Montesi formula. It's in the Darkhold, and it works most of the time.
Sure.
But then people are like, "You can't kill all vampires. That's not cool." And I'm like, Dracula didn't have this problem. If we're going by Bram Stoker rules, none of those vampires were good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nemesis runs into multiple problems here. At one point, he just tries to shoot a stake through the vampire's heart and nothing works.
Well, because those are his lab rats.
The reality of what's actually happening is kind of complicated, because this vampire has basically run a psychic network through Box's brain and possessed him. I mean, it's some comic book nonsense.
It is. It's a techno vampire.
Yeah.
And something, prefrontal cortex overload, something. You take out one of them, you take out all of them, kind of thing. They save the day. Box does think he's going to have to kill himself, but he can't force his body to pull the trigger, so he gives the gun to Kavita and says, "You have to kill me." And she has a hard time about it, which is weird because he's an Alpha Flight character, so it should be really easy to pull that trigger. I saw that Alpha Flight was going to be in an X-Men comic coming up, and I got visibly upset. I was like, come on.
They did announce that today. But I do love all of these images of Walta drawing Box assembling things from the machinery around him, and all of the disconnected parts are floating around him, including the gun that forms at the end. Some of the gadgets that he puts together are really great. But I think the thing that really sold me on it is, White Queen is the one that has to save the day. She's up on deck, and she is the one that has to shut Box down to save everybody, because Nemesis is about to get basically eaten by this monster.
And I want to be clear, by shut him down, they just mean prefrontal cortex, like give him a hard reboot for a second.
Yeah.
Not the murder that we were talking about earlier.
Yes. And really, this whole thing is Wolverine's fault, because he took a necklace off of the vampire monster as they were loading him into the lab. If he hadn't done that, none of this would have happened.
None of this would have happened. But then also, we wouldn't have gotten good science cussing from Kavita Rao.
Oh, right. Kavita Rao gives some really good science cussing in here. Do you have that pulled up?
It says, eat scalding gene therapy, you dentally atavistic morphologically challenged asterisks.
Well, and Box is like, man, that's some good science cussing. And she's like, oh, I've been practicing.
Good science cussing. Good science cussing. See, that's the thing. I've given Cy Spurrier hard times on this show. Specifically, I've given hard times to Cy Spurrier after 2021 on this show. And I want to be so clear. He can tap into things that just make me giddy and make me laugh, and I really enjoy, and then also make me feel feelings.
Mm-hmm.
In this comic, like, it has so much of what I like about his stuff. Also has a lot of stuff I dislike. But you know what? This one, I mean, this one's pretty good.
It's a good comic. It's a good comic because, yes, Dr. Nemesis
Walter art all the time. So.
Yeah, I mean, Nemesis is being an absolute reprehensible jerk, but that is who he is, and yes,
I know. I just don't like having problematic faves.
I know, but that is what Nemesis is. He is.
Next you're going to tell me that he worked for the Nazis for a hot second, thanks to Roy Thomas, or like you're going to be like, what? Well, Zach, I don't know if you know this, but one of your other favorites did like a mutant supremacist riot that got some people killed. And I'd be like, no, he's a good boy. He bakes. He takes care of his chickens. He was lost. He was on a rough time.
I think of the three, this is definitely the best. It is really
the best
art showcase, and it has both a really great sense of humor and it has some really great horror beats in it that make it a really good horror comic. So this is better than both those other stories by far, I think.
Yeah. Better than like War of the Realms X-Men. It's better than... No, it's not better than Ghost Rider Wolverine Weapons of Vengeance. Sorry, I saw that one.
Where is that at?
That's at 441.
Okay. I think that's a good spot for it, though, and maybe like the lower half of the 400s.
Yeah, because 451 is X-Men 2099, the Zao arc.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not better than that.
No.
It's not better than World War IV. But again, I'm Annihilation pilled.
I do think this is better than the last 4 issues of Claremont's Nightcrawler solo. It's 462.
Okay. Here's another challenging and oddly similar one.
Mm-hmm.
Is this better or worse than Dark Reign, The List, Wolverine, #1 by Asad Ribic and Jason Aaron? A comic where where super atheism saves the day. That's not an exaggeration. That's what the comic is about. Which is just like so on the nose, Jason. But it also, again, on the nose in a world where like the Montesi formula exists and works. We know this. That is science.
For my money, Asad Ribic is an amazing artist, but I like Walta better, and I think this is a better issue than that.
Okay, really?
I'm going to speak heresy here. I think this is better than the first 3 issues of X-Men 2099. And I think we should put this right below World War IV at 457.
Adam, I'm also 2099 pilled right now. Do you know how much Ghost Rider 2099 I've read recently? Not all of it. I'm taking it like 1 or 2 issues a day so I can cherish it.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
We need to know that Ghost Rider 2099 is better than you want it to be, actually. Like, it might be pound for pound better than X-Men 2099.
Whoa.
So far.
Them's fighting words. All right. Okay.
Adam, he has a chainsaw.
And a the chainsaw arm, right?
He has a chainsaw arm. He has spiky hand on his other one.
Yeah. It's great.
He hates the police so much.
Man. Got
Like,
it all.
there
Got
is
it all.
there is a lot about Ghost Rider 2099 that over the last few weeks has been speaking to me. And it is the right thing for me to read at this moment. I just hope that there's more good Dr. Nemesis to read in the future, because I do enjoy reading Dr. Nemesis comics. He's a dude I like a lot.
Yes. So for the record, we just put Smoke and Blood, Curse of the Mutant Smoke and Blood at 457. I highly recommend people check out that issue. And
it's one issue.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. If I see that in a back issue bin, I'm buying that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's just one.
Yeah.
That's our episode though, Adam.
Listen, I'm glad we've sorted some of this Dr. Nemesis nonsense out. It's a confusing timeline.
It's a confusing timeline, and I hope that the editors of the Marvel Wikia will learn that, like, look, y'all, sometimes it doesn't make sense, and you can't fit it together, and it's fine.
It's totally
Sometimes
fine.
Matt Fraction's just jumping on the trend of, like, action scientists that was going around in the mid to late 2000s. And being like, well, we'll use this guy because I need an action scientist who yells science a lot. Because that was just a thing that was happening in culture. And when people make fun of millennials for like narwhals baconing and whatever, and we're like, no, we weren't that bad. I mean, you can show them like that. And they're like, you guys were really into Nikola Tesla as teenagers and young adults. And you wanted him or some representation of him to be in everything, and we were like, shut up.
Love it.
I mean, that's just what it is. You know, that's just the only reason Dr. Nemesis is the way he is.
Sure.
It's just now that we're 20 or 15 years removed and he's the only one who's like that, then it's interesting again.
Exactly. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy the last 5 or 6 years of Nemesis stories, so I'm hoping that somebody else will pick the character back up and give him some new fun stuff to do. But maybe keep the mushroom hair. I don't know.
I hope he keeps the mushroom brain. That, again, it was written, it should have been for me. But we're not talking about that. And Adam has said someone will have to pay us. He won't let me put it on the list because he doesn't want to be mad right now. And I understand.
I don't want to talk about that unless somebody pays me. So you hear me, patrons. You know what to do.
$5, folks, and we'll do the first arc of Way of X. A comic that Adam will get really mad about, and I will have had enough removal from to be mad in different ways.
I'll get Zach mad about it too. It'll be great.
Oh, you'll find a way. Adam, what's making you mad this week?
I mean, I'm trying to stay as upbeat as possible. I will say, if folks are following on social media, not using Twitter X anymore. So if you do want to follow, the main place to do it is on our Blue Sky account, which is Adam Rec. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Adam Rec as well. Zach, I don't know.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Because I've wanted to say this to other places, but I haven't found the right thing. Do you know how superior to everyone I feel that not only had I quit Twitter, I had quit Blue Sky already because I was like, actually, no, I don't need this.
I'm so proud of you. But
I'm feeling so good about myself that I'm like, I had already quit that social media. Give me the next thing to ruin my brain.
I love this for you. And
I am so happy for you as well. I truly am.
I think right now we're doing good over there. And, if anybody wants to add us to a starter pack, please feel free.
Why are you saying us?
Because I promote the show on there.
Okay. I didn't know.
You and I both host this show, my friend.
I know we do, but like it's your account. I didn't know if there was a Battle of the Atom Blue Sky account that I was unaware of.
No, we'll just
I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
The plural confused me.
I'm also British. I'm not British.
You're not. What? Anyway, I don't have anything to plug. I have my own like inflated sense of self-worth because I quit a social media before other people. That's what I got going for me, folks. That and being very busy. I do want to say thank you to all of our listeners because you're great. And also, I know our release schedule has been wild. Thanks for hanging in there. We're looking at some things to keep it more consistent, but I'll be honest, folks, busy. right
Yes.
now. Coming to your
Yes.
city soon if you live in a handful of states and buy commercial HVAC equipment. Adam, what are we doing next week?
I don't think we can tell them because we don't know. We know what the episode before this is, but I don't think we know what the episode after this is yet. So people are just going to have to tune in and find out.
Okay. Until then, folks, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!